Hey everyone, it's me, Garrett. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up that this episode contains some harsh language and graphic depictions of online harassment, so take care when listening.
It's a classic Silicon Valley story. Before there was the vintage Jaguar, the six-figure salary, and the nice house to share with the pretty girlfriend, there was the $200 a month office with the leaky roof.
It was just the nastiest place you can imagine.
And you lived in it too?
And I lived in it too and showered at the windows.
It's 1998, and 27-year-old Elon Musk is right on the cusp of becoming a massive success story. He's the scrappy young founder of Zip2, a software company that makes city guide websites for newspapers.
Now Musk has his own computer command center, and his business is thriving. How old were you when you started this company, or what became this company?
23.
In about a year, his company Zip2 will sell for more than $300 million. He's already thinking about the next big thing, a financial company he'll call X.com. That will eventually become PayPal and net him $165 million more. But right now, he's young and idealistic, one of the rare and lucky few who can see the future, excited about what the internet might become.
What do you see as the future of the internet?
I think the internet is the superset of all media. It is the be-all and end-all of media. It allows consumers to choose what they want to see, when they want to see it, whether that be radio, whether that be print, whether that be television. I think it's going to revolutionize all traditional media.
It's 22 years later, May 17th, 2020. A now 48-year-old Musk is engaged in one of his favorite activities, scrolling Twitter. It's the be-all and end-all of media. Videos, podcasts, print, it's all here, tailor-curated for the individual by the algorithm.
Stop supporting a tyrant, a coward!
And like Musk predicted, you see what you want to see, but you don't necessarily get to choose it. The world is deeply entrenched in the coronavirus pandemic. Twitter has become a maelstrom of disinformation and fake news. And like many others stuck at home, scrolling social media, Musk is getting more radical. Up until this point, Musk has been seen as a liberal ally, a celebrated innovator whose company Tesla helped bring the electric car to the mainstream. But lately, in increasingly erratic tweets to his 33 million followers, Musk has downplayed the pandemic while amplifying bunk COVID cures and disinformation. On a recent earnings call, he criticized the lockdowns.
To say that they cannot leave their house and they will be arrested if they do, this is fascist. This is not freedom. Give people back their goddamn freedom.
There have been signs that Musk has been slowly drifting toward the right, but what he tweets today is a shocking and straightforward confirmation. He writes, "Take the red pill."
Do you want to know what it is?
It was a phrase that originated with the 1999 sci-fi movie The Matrix.
The Matrix is everywhere.
In a pivotal scene, Neo, the film's protagonist, is offered a choice. Take the blue pill and continue to live in a comfortable but ultimately false existence.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
Or take the red pill.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Taking the red pill changes everything. You'll finally see the world for what it really is and who the real enemies are. In the movie, Neo takes it almost immediately and is plunged into the horrifying truth about his world that only a select few can see. That phrase, "take the red pill," had existed for almost a decade in the most toxic echo chambers of the internet. Up until then, it had been used mostly by aggrieved white men who felt that they could see the world for what it really was. A place where white men were not in power, but under attack by women, queer people, and people of color. It was an ideology that spawned some of the most vicious harassment campaigns in the history of the internet.
Gamergate. It's an online battle of the sexes and the sometimes violent reaction to women who speak out.
The Red Pill was a manifesto that drove a seething anger in the cesspools of the web, a fury that often spilled over into real-world violence.
The man accused of driving a van into a crowd of pedestrians in Toronto. 10 people died in the attack.
A cryptic message on the prime suspect's Facebook page. The incel rebellion has begun.
The Red Pill was a creed that united white nationalists with chronically online young men in a mission to elect Donald Trump in 2016.
So what is the alt-right? Well, it includes white nationalists, white supremacists, anti-Semites.
By the time Elon Musk tweeted about it in 2020, the Red Pill was an ideology that had migrated from the dark corners of the internet into the mainstream of the Republican Party. In Musk, it had ensnared one of the richest and most powerful men in the world, and over the next 4 years would drive a consolidation of political power the world had never seen before. It would lead right to this moment, right now, where American democracy is unraveling. My name is Garrett Graff, and this is Long Shadow, Breaking the Internet. Episode 7, The Red Pill.
I first encountered the manosphere when I was pregnant with my first child, who's now 12. So that's how long ago we're talking.
This is Donna Zuckerberg. Yes, she happens to be Mark's younger sister, though that's not why we're talking to her. In 2013, Donna was an academic studying the classics. Think Aristophanes and Euripides. But like Mark, she became interested in the world of social media.
I was reading this mom website called Scary Mommy, which is really funny. It was a place where people were really real about motherhood. There was an article for their anonymous mom column where somebody said the kind of thing you're not supposed to say. She was talking about how, as a single mother, she was really sick of people telling her about how grateful she should be to her husband for being willing to take on the burden of a woman who already had a child. There was just this wild storm of troll comments on this piece, which was very unusual for this website. It was all stuff that's so gross that I feel a little uncomfortable saying it, to be honest. Every time your husband looks at your child, he sees another man ejaculating into you. That kind of thing. Comment section full of that. They identified themselves as being part of the manosphere. That was the first time I came across that word.
The manosphere, it turned out, was a fringe world of disillusioned, mostly white men who lurked in niche corners of the internet. Places like bodybuilding forums and unmoderated anonymous message boards like 4chan.
The community in the 2010s was very fragmented. It was all these different silos. There were the men's rights activists.
Nobody gives a damn about men.
Who were largely concerned with marriage laws and custody and men's mental health.
There are domestic violence victims that are being ignored, or there are rape victims that are being ignored.
I think that there are very real concerns that underpin some of the issues that we talk about, like the male loneliness epidemic. Men are so much more likely than women to die by suicide. Issues that I look at from a feminist standpoint and say, man, patriarchy is really hurting men. Obviously, that's not the lens that the men's rights activists put on it. They say feminism is really hurting men.
What is it with these feminist thugs who think it's their right to just silence people by any means necessary?
The pickup artists are trying to address the male loneliness epidemic in their own extremely gross and rapey way.
We live in paradise. There are women everywhere. All you have to do is snag them. Get the fucking girl.
Many of their strategies for attracting women do have to do with insulting and denigrating women.
Some of them are going to be ugly. Some of them will be taken. Some of them will be little girls, little kids. Some of them.
So it's a very belittling way of looking at women.
Y'all might be under the auspices that I'm a woman hater. I am not.
Men going their own way is a group that is, in some ways, just the reverse side of the coin of the pickup artists. They see the same sexual marketplace, and they agree about all the rules, and they just say, I want none of this.
I would love to love again, but I'm guarded. I won't let it happen.
You also have the incels, the involuntary celibate community, which would like to be pickup artists, but believe that they are not able to for some set of reasons, usually physical. So they see themselves as the absolute losers of the sexual marketplace game.
How sick and evil young people of my generation are, especially girls.
Their disappointment and frustration and loneliness has metastasized into this incredibly toxic misogyny.
They go for absolute obnoxious pricks instead of guys like me who actually deserve them, while I've had to suffer in loneliness.
There have been some mass murders that are associated with the incel movement.
Tomorrow is the day of retribution.
This chilling video shows Elliot Roger, the 22-year-old Santa Barbara college student who police say killed 6 and injured 13 in Friday's mass shooting and stabbing spree.
Many men landed in these various factions of the manosphere because they were isolated and lonely, looking for help. But once inside one of these insular online communities, they were exposed to an echo chamber of toxic ideas. In the words of the manosphere, they took the red pill.
The red pill is a world without political correctness. If you strip away all the politically correct lies, you see the world for what it really is, which is a world where unfair advantages are being given to women, people of color, disabled people, queer people. It is not a meritocracy. And if it were a meritocracy, white men would be in charge.
Even with this unifying ideology, the various groups of the manosphere weren't united. But in 2014, that was about to change. Because of all things, an indie video game made by a woman.
I'm Zoe Quinn, and I'm an independent game developer and community organizer. I basically make weird little games that are about feelings,
Zoe Quinn had developed and released Depression Quest, a choose-your-own-adventure game about the challenges of having depression. It was a little independent game, but it got positive reviews from critics. And simply because Quinn was a woman in the gaming industry, she received angry phone calls and rape threats. She told her story to NPR and the BBC in 2014.
It's like the internet is eager and waiting for a reason to be a total scumbag to you, at least if you're a woman and you're a loud, outspoken woman.
But that harassment would only be the beginning. In August of 2014, Quinn's ex-boyfriend posted a 9,000-word screed about her on his blog. He falsely accused her of sleeping with a writer for the gaming site Kotaku in exchange for a positive review. It was a deeply invasive post, airing the couple's private messages, and it was shared far and wide in the most misogynist reaches of the internet.
Zoe Quinn has been sleeping around with many men so she can go get her game high scores.
She's sucking 5 dudes' dicks.
That's fucking Zoe Quinn. Remarkably disgusting individual.
The scandal that wasn't exploded under the hashtag Gamergate. It was dressed up as a referendum on ethics in video game journalism, but it echoed through the toxic caverns of the manosphere as naked misogyny and launched a tidal wave of hate and harassment at Quinn.
Instantly, they dived into find where she lives. What are we going to do about her? Can we hack her email? Like, instantly. All of these accounts started being made to yell at me on Twitter, to talk about really disgusting personal details, to make photoshops of me, and make really disgusting sexual comments.
Online, it was a coordinated assault. A relatively small number of trolls were using the hashtag to game social media and make a lot of noise. Anonymous accounts amplified each other, generating a flood of hate that Twitter's tools couldn't keep up with. And all of it was fueled by an algorithm that had a nose for the controversial and outrageous.
It was nothing but trying to get me to kill myself, trying to get people to hurt me, going after my family.
Quinn was out of town when the attack began, and she started to get photos of the outside of her apartment back in Boston. She never went back. Over days and weeks, thousands of trolls participated in the harassment campaign. It seemed like all of the misogyny that had been stewing for years in forums like 4chan and Reddit was being targeted at Quinn.
It's like you're just constantly surrounded by nothing but hate. And it's virulent and it's everywhere, and it was like falling into static.
Once the dominoes start falling with that kind of resentment and rage, it's really hard to get them to stop.
As Gamergate spread, the troll army began targeting other prominent women in the gaming industry, and the online harassment turned into real-world danger. Women had their addresses leaked online or had SWAT teams sent to their homes.
I've been the target of many death threats this year. I've actually had 47 of them in the last 5 months.
It was just a really horrible time where trolling became really mainstream and where people were getting attention for being trolls.
I think it's a game to these people. I think they find harassment of women being an interesting hobby. When they threaten to kill me, it's funny to them. It's beyond sexism. This is terrorism against women in the industry.
Gamergate became a moment when the men of the manosphere could feel powerful together. It turned into a rallying cry, not just against women in the industry, but against diversity, equity, and political correctness. And at least one person saw the broader political potential of this toxic young male movement. A writer for the far-right website Breitbart, Milo Yiannopoulos.
There's that thing in the men's rights world, red pilling. You sort of take the red pill, suddenly your eyes are open to the realities of the relationships between men and women. And I've noticed a similar sort of effect in gamers where they suddenly realize, well, actually, wait, I just watched Fox News and for the first time in my life, it's starting to make sense to me.
This was not just a happy accident. Breitbart's editor, Steve Bannon, had known about the racist, misogynist rage of the gaming world for years. Back in 2005, he helped run a company that used low-wage Chinese workers to play the online multiplayer game World of Warcraft. Workers would gather gold, the in-game currency, which the company would then sell to gamers for real-world money. It was basically a virtual sweatshop. It was also a form of cheating, which led to anti-Chinese anger among some of the game's toxic players. A rage Bannon never forgot. These guys, these rootless white males, had monster power, Bannon said about the gamers. In Gamergate, Bannon had seen that power grow exponentially, and his writer, Milo Yiannopoulos, had managed to tap into it. I realized Milo could connect with these kids right away, Bannon told the journalist Joshua Green. You can activate that army. They come in through Gamergate or whatever, and then get turned onto politics. Gamergate would turn out to be the spark the manosphere needed to come together under a big new tent of male grievance.
Gamergate got a lot of attention. Around that time, Donald Trump's presidential campaign is starting to kick off.
We don't have victories anymore. We used to have victories, but we don't have them. When was the last?
From his first speech, Trump dialed into grievances about the state of the country. But it was his personality, more than anything, that started to win over the manosphere.
The very parts of the campaign that I think the media thought would sink him the most are what appealed to these parts of the internet. It's hard for women to be a 10.
A person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10, okay?
That's how pickup artists talk all the time.
Whoa. I did try and she was married.
That's huge news there.
The sort of like grab him by the pussy, leaked footage.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the
They're like, oh, we've been saying that all along. That's what women want. Women want men with power. If you're famous, you could just grab them. They really saw Donald Trump as their candidate.
But it wasn't just the misogynist portion of the manosphere that identified with Trump.
There's a lot of racist rhetoric in Donald Trump's presidential campaign.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
One of the really major threads during the 2016 election was talking about needing to protect and defend Western civilization.
This election is an election about survival. And not just the survival of the United States, but the survival of Western civilization.
Western civilization was a bit of a dog whistle for whiteness.
The thinking was that things like immigration and diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives were weakening the Western world and bringing about the downfall of American culture. The idea that white men, in particular, were being pushed out.
There are definitely white supremacist threads running through the manosphere. But probably in 2015, if you had spoken to most of those people, they would not have been excited to call themselves white nationalists.
But the white nationalist alt-right, which had been spreading slowly in the manosphere since Gamergate, exploded online. Its growth was spurred on by Steve Bannon, who dubbed Breitbart the platform for the alt-right.
Suddenly, because of Breitbart, it was cool to say that you were a supporter of white civilization. The young, hip conservatives weren't afraid to say things like, America should be for the white people.
America was a white country. It is our creation, and it belongs to us.
That was a message that resonated in the manosphere.
This entitlement to women's bodies, an entitlement to a certain kind of power within the family. And then with the 2016 election, you really start to see it as an entitlement to political power that they're not getting. It can only improve our situation for somebody who thinks so much like us to be in control. If Donald Trump gets into power, things will become better for us.
By 2016, the manosphere had become an internet army for Trump. From Gamergate, these chronically online men knew how to game the algorithm and take control of the conversation on social media platforms. In short, the manosphere became a megaphone and helped deliver a crucial demographic of young men to Trump. Trump saw how important they were, so much so that he hired Steve Bannon to run his campaign. It was an unlikely coalition of incels, white nationalists, and regular Americans fed up with the orthodoxies of the Obama years. And of course, an army of Russian trolls that delivered an extreme long shot of a candidate to the presidency.
We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our country and restore its promise for all of our people. Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come.
We had no idea at the time how true that was. A movement that had festered in Gamergate had become mainstream discourse. The strange bedfellows of the internet had united to build a new right-wing movement, one that would threaten the core of our democracy.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
On August 11th, 2017, some of those bedfellows came together on the streets of Charlottesville, Virginia.
You have fascist groups, you have National Socialist groups, you have Southern Nationalist groups, you have all types of groups with all types of creeds, but ultimately we're all being united because we all believe in the same thing, which is ultimately that white people have a right to exist.
Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets!
The Unite the Right rally brought together all manner of far-right groups. Neo-Nazis, Ku Klux Klan members, and militias took to the streets to protest the removal of a statue of Robert E. Lee. It was an attempt to turn the online furor of the alt-right into on-the-street action.
We are about to march over to a statue with our torches and sort of make our presence felt in the most peaceful manner possible.
This is an entire fucking line of Nazis in 2017.
A contingent of tiki torch-bearing young men dressed in khakis and button-downs chanted, "You will not replace us."
You will not replace us!
It was a nod to replacement theory, the racist conspiracy theory that Jews were trying to replace white men with foreigners. The following morning, the right clashed with counter-protesters in the streets of Charlottesville. Later that day, a white supremacist rammed his car into a crowd of people. A woman named Heather Heyer was killed, and 35 others were injured. The Unite the Right rally was the physical manifestation of an underbelly of the internet that had been metastasizing since Gamergate. And the violence carried out there was excused by a president who had risen to power on the hateful rhetoric Unite the Right represented.
There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
In the wake of Charlottesville, the backlash against the alt-right was swift. Leaders were denounced. On social media, groups were deplatformed. And the movement started to fall apart.
The temporary alliances formed between these factions start to crumble. They're made up of incredibly insecure, ego-driven men. Those kinds of alliances are not built to last.
But the ideas of the alt-right weren't going anywhere. On the contrary, they became a part of mainstream Republican thought. Some of the same ideas shouted by Nazis on the streets of Charlottesville were now coming out of Tucker Carlson's mouth on Fox News.
The left and all the little gatekeepers on Twitter become literally hysterical if you use the term replacement, if you suggest that the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. Let's just say it, that's true.
Fast-breaking developments in the coronavirus emergency. City hospitals, their resources are strained.
A new wave of states issuing stay-at-home orders tonight, finally recognizing the restrictive measures.
COVID just kind of hit, and I was 12 at the time. You know, everybody assumed it was just, we get the week off. And then we all kind of knew it was something more important.
This is Brian Campbell. He's 16 years old today. But back in 2020, when the coronavirus started creeping across America, he was still in middle school.
At the time COVID hit, my parents are worried about not bringing a literal pandemic-level virus into their home. Make sure the kid's not getting sick. Make sure you're bringing food in the house. Like all the normal stuff, but with a whole nother level of, are we going to be okay? My dad's a registered nurse. So every day we had to quarantine and make sure he didn't bring home COVID. So he would just go to my parents' room. And we had like a plastic tarp of sorts that we would just tarp.
Brian's mom was busy running the house. His dad was working or isolating. That left Brian in his room.
I couldn't be around anybody. I'm quarantined from my family, basically. So yeah, I'm in my room majority of the day just scrolling. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, that was my life.
Brian became one of the millions of kids across the world stuck at home, trying to pass the time online. Suddenly, he was scrolling social media for 4 hours a day and spending little time with other people.
The internet is quite literally not a real place. You could definitely find yourself in a rabbit hole where at first you're just watching cool NBA 2K videos and then it turns into Andrew Tate videos.
I'm hard to impress with cars because I have them all. So I'm very hard to impress.
Andrew Tate was one of the big new influencers of the manosphere. At the time, his popularity was starting to explode among young men. By 2023, he would be the third most Googled person in the world, way ahead of Taylor Swift.
I have 40 cars, 40.
So I would see like a video of him with his Lamborghini or whatever, and I would be like, oh, that's cool. I want to be rich or whatever.
I can't even remember all my cars. They're just coming to my head at random. Porsche.
This was a new iteration of the manosphere, a growing army of life hackers, productivity optimizers, and hustle culture bros. But all the old red pill tropes were there. Male entitlement and victimization, gender-based pseudoscience, open misogyny.
Life for a man is harder than life for a woman. I've been on boats in Dubai with 19-year-old Moldovan girls. The guy who got that boat needed $100 million. That bitch, makeup.
You see this rich dude living his life. He talks about all the women he has or whatever. And you think like, this is what society tells me the dream life for a man is. I want this.
Over the months of the pandemic, the algorithm kept pulling Brian deeper and deeper into the manosphere, which was growing and morphing and widening its audience. It was spreading across a new generation of social media platforms aimed at younger people, like Discord, TikTok, and the video game streaming service Twitch. And Brian would spend hours watching guys like Aiden Ross.
If a girl lies about a guy sexually assaulting, they deserve to go to prison for life. I'm sorry, bro.
And Charlie Kirk.
If you're going to force me to use pronouns that aren't true, teach my kids things that are materially or biologically false, then we have a serious problem. And so
I was fully engrossed in the manosphere rhetoric. Women control the dating scene too much, and you'll never be able to find a wife in today's society, and we need to go back to before.
The majority of men have no money, no power, no sex from their wife, no fucking chance in court, can't even keep their house, they won't get to see their kids. So most men, their life sucks.
It's like a victim mentality per se, where you feel like you have to fight against a system that's already against you. And it kind of caught me, especially as a black man, because it's kind of granted for me to feel like some systems are against me. I kind of get caught up in the idea that, yeah, the problem is women. I was very deep into like gender roles. I'd be like, my wife will wash these dishes and she gonna mop the floors and all of that. And looking back, it's like, you're a 12-year-old boy saying this. My parents, they'd be worried about me. And they would be like, yeah, we're not having no grandkids because look what our son's saying.
As Brian went further and further down the rabbit hole, he noticed another facet of the manosphere.
A lot of these manosphere ideas come with very racist ones as well.
Hitler was a great leader. He did was fucked up, he killed innocent people, but he was a good leader.
You see a video of like, yeah, we hate women. And then it's like, oh, we hate black people.
It would be irresponsible if I had a wife and kids to live near black people. It just would be.
You kind of just gloss it over and see it as like, they still have these undeniable facts. We just have different opinions on certain things. You get this fully radicalized view on gender relations, race relations. It happens quickly.
One day, Brian was discussing all of this stuff with his friends while playing a video game.
And my brother heard me talking about it, and he basically told me we have to speak.
They ended up talking for 4 hours. Brian's brother challenged him on his views on women and the LGBTQ community. Brian found himself repeating a red pill mantra over and over.
Facts over feelings. I would repeat that over and over, like facts over feelings, and you don't understand how women treat us or whatever. It was really weird. Like, it hurts to say it now. Even though I argue back a lot, I listened. He kind of broke it down that like these people are genuine white supremacists a lot of the times. Once I saw that like I had the same beliefs as actual KKK members, I had to move on. It kind of changed my whole trajectory in a way. Kind of found my true values.
Brian was lucky to have a role model to challenge him on his beliefs. The manosphere was brain poison, but for naive and directionless boys and young men, home from school during the pandemic, it was a salve. It would also prove to be a salve for one particular 48-year-old tech billionaire.
Elon Musk reacted quite dramatically to COVID, and it's because it personally affected him. You got to think, as an uber rich guy running all of these companies, he's largely insulated from the effects of politics.
This is Fez Siddiqui, a journalist with The Washington Post who has written a biography about Elon Musk. Around that time, Musk had been downplaying COVID on Twitter and openly defying California's shutdown orders at his factories, which had earned him considerable blowback. On May 10, 2020, after Musk threatened to move operations out of California, Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez tweeted, "Fuck Elon Musk."
He's fuming over the closure. He's tweeting, and adding fuel to the fire is what he sees as Democrats teaming up against him.
That's when Musk tweets in solidarity with a group of other men with grievances on the internet. He writes, "Take the red pill." As a successful white entrepreneur, an avid gamer, and a man who had a lot of children by a lot of different women, Musk was already a darling of the manosphere. This was a man, after all, who had once smoked weed on the Joe Rogan podcast.
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
But the red pill tweet solidified his status and marked the beginning of a new era, both for Musk and the internet. All that spring and summer, there were mass protests sparked by the killing of George Floyd.
Say his name!
A social justice reckoning began that spread to institutions all across the country. Governments and private companies were under pressure to purge institutional racism and hire more people of color. That social climate caused a lot of anger and resentment in the growing manosphere.
The woke left are full of hate. They weaponize virtue to pretend they care about others. Instead of having an argument, they always go to, you're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're racist.
America was at a fork in the road, a moment when the country was trying to choose what it wanted to be and what it valued. After a tumultuous term, Donald Trump was voted out of office, and for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot, he was deplatformed from Facebook and Twitter. Social media platforms were again facing a reckoning of their own, this time for the wild spread of disinformation during the pandemic and their failure to moderate the election conspiracies that led to January 6th.
Facebook and big tech are facing a big tobacco moment, a moment of reckoning.
It's October 5th, 2021, at a hearing of the Senate Commerce Committee. A former Facebook employee named Frances Haugen has come forward with a trove of internal files from the company. She's here to present what she found.
My name is Frances Haugen. I used to work at Facebook. I joined Facebook because I think Facebook has the potential to bring out the best in us. But I'm here today because I believe Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
The leaked documents revealed much of what you've learned about Facebook throughout this podcast. That the company knew its algorithms stoked polarization, hate, and anger.
The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people.
According to Haugen's documents, the company purposely amplified the most polarizing content. High-profile Facebook users like Donald Trump and Senator Elizabeth Warren were given latitude to post whatever they wanted without moderation. And Instagram knew that its platform caused young girls to have eating disorders and suicidal thoughts.
I saw Facebook repeatedly encounter conflicts between its own profits and our safety. Facebook consistently resolved these conflicts in favor of its own profits. The result has been more division, more harm, more lies, more threats, and more combat. Facebook shapes our perception of the world by choosing the information we see. A company with such frightening influence over so many people, over their deepest thoughts, feelings, and behavior, needs real oversight.
Facebook, a tool used by billions, had contributed so much turmoil, but its inner workings still remained hidden from the public. Haugen argued that Facebook was justifying its choices and abdicating any responsibility for their consequences, while hiding behind the idea of free speech.
They want you to believe that you must choose between a Facebook full of divisive and extreme content or losing one of the most important values our country was founded upon, free speech. I am here today to tell you that's not true. These problems are solvable. I came forward at great personal risk because I believe we still have time to act, but we must act now. I'm asking you, our elected representatives, to act. Thank you.
The Facebook files, as Haugen's disclosures became known, led to a lot of public backlash against the company. But no new oversight was put into place by the government. Eventually, everyone just went back to business as usual. But while Facebook's lack of moderation was once again making headlines, a growing contingent of people felt that social media platforms were doing too much moderation. One of those people happened to be the richest man in the world.
Wokeness basically wants to make comedy illegal, which is not cool.
Elon Musk, who had been drifting further and further to the right, was upset because Twitter had banned the Babylon Bee, a far-right comedy account he was a fan of. The account had tweeted that Rachel Levine, a transgender woman serving as the U.S. Assistant Secretary for Health, was its, quote, man of the year. Musk attributed the ban to the so-called woke movement.
At its heart, wokeness is divisive, exclusionary, and hateful.
He's convinced that the systemic suppression of speech that he sees on Twitter is inhibiting humanity in such a way that it's crucial that Elon step in and save it.
The world's richest man is now promising a Twitter makeover, renaming his own account Chief Twit and proclaiming the bird is freed.
In October of 2022, Musk bought Twitter.
Elon Musk carried a kitchen sink into Twitter HQ this week, tweeting, "Let that sink in," then fired senior execs once closing the $44 billion deal. For years, Twitter has battled hate speech and disinformation. Today, a raging debate over what Twitter is now and will soon become.
Soon after, Musk restored Donald Trump's Twitter account.
I think it was a morally bad decision, to be clear, and foolish in the extreme.
He then set about restoring all kinds of accounts that had been banned for hate speech, for harassment, and for spreading lies and conspiracies.
He sees that as noble, allowing this kind of unfiltered human thought.
And he renamed the platform to a name he had been holding on to since the 90s.
X.com. I think X.com could absolutely be a multi-billion-dollar bonanza.
In the end, X.com turned out to be a $44 billion bonanza for Twitter shareholders.
X, FK, Twitter should represent the sort of collective consciousness of humanity. That means that there are going to be views on there that you don't like, but that's humanity. So are you going to exclude them or not?
Musk had once foreseen the internet as the be-all and end-all of media, a place where the user would be in full control of whatever they wanted to see. But now, he was in full control of one of the most influential social media platforms ever made. And he was in charge of what people saw. With content guardrails fully off, X quickly became an ideological cesspool. Its algorithm was not offering some libertarian vision of a free marketplace of ideas. It was, instead, promoting the most sensational, outrageous content. Feeds were quickly inundated with some of the darkest videos to ever grace the internet. Videos of real murders, of violent porn, of animals getting hurt, and people fighting. Racist rhetoric, misogyny, deep fakes, and viral conspiracy thrived. And Musk was one of the biggest consumers of the content there.
He puts a ton of value in some of this content that he sees, a lot of which is just blatantly misinformation or conspiracy theories.
Musk and millions of users on X were exposed to some of the lies that had been festering in the manosphere for a decade. That DEI initiatives were bringing about the fall of Western civilization, and hints of replacement theory.
He's deeply concerned about what he sees as this flood of undocumented immigrants arriving across the border. He has this theory that it's an effort to remake the electoral map.
And Musk, the father of a transgender daughter, gets exposed to growing manosphere hate against the trans community. He believes that wokeness is like a virus, ripping through people's minds and destroying not only society, but his own family.
So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus. So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
It's a hot Saturday afternoon in July 2024, a week before the Republican National Convention. Donald Trump takes the stage for a rally.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, big, beautiful crowd.
Since January 6, 2021, Trump has received 4 criminal indictments, charging him with 91 felonies. He's been found guilty of falsifying business records in a trial involving hush money paid to a porn star. But today, in Butler, Pennsylvania, he's still the presumptive Republican nominee for president. And his big focus is on the country's border crisis.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
A gunman fires multiple times. Trump winces and puts his hand to his ear as Secret Service agents rally around him. A Secret Service sniper returns fire at the gunman laying on a nearby roof, killing him. With blood running across his face, Trump raises a defiant fist.
Wait.
The shooting made wall-to-wall coverage on TV and social media. And just 34 minutes later, Elon Musk posted on X, "I fully endorse President Trump and hope for his rapid recovery." In the weeks that followed, Musk became one of the campaign's most visible faces. He would ultimately spend $277 million on Trump and his allies. And in October, when Trump returned to the scene of that assassination attempt, it was Musk who was on stage with him.
President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America.
A lot of people laughed when Musk spent $44 billion on Twitter, only to make it a hellscape for advertisers. But in the 2024 campaign, he turned it into the world's most expensive megaphone. He made thousands of political posts endorsing Trump or his policies and attacking Kamala Harris. He amplified unproven claims about election fraud and conspiracy theories about Democrats importing immigrants to tilt the vote. And he supercharged the now huge manosphere to get behind Trump.
I hope you like watches, Rolexes.
Wow. Oh, that's a beautiful watch.
You should open it.
Trump knew from 2016 how important the manosphere could be. He did an interview with Aiden Ross where Ross not only endorsed him, but gifted him a Rolex.
This is beautiful. Wow, thank you.
And a Tesla Cybertruck wrapped in the notorious picture of Trump after the shooting in Butler.
You can't miss it.
That's an Elon.
It is an Elon.
Wow.
Shout out to Mr. Musk.
That's beautiful.
Streamer after streamer, podcaster after podcaster, the endorsements from the manosphere went out to millions upon millions of young male voters.
I think it would be better to have a president that doesn't want biological men competing in women's sports.
One of them, of course, was Andrew Tate, who was facing criminal charges of human trafficking and sexual assault in Europe.
Donald Trump is the last hope of Western civilization. If he doesn't win, it's over.
Misogynist, homophobic, and racist rhetoric that had been a dog whistle in the first Trump campaign was now a blaring siren. Trump would cast out the immigrants.
Donald Trump is protecting women by not letting 15 million illegal immigrants through the borders.
He would end diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and return America to a meritocracy, where, of course, white men would have the most merit.
That's white people that did Apple. That's white people that did Microsoft. Is anybody else done with this? Is anybody else sick of it?
In the final weeks of the election, Trump appeared on all 4 of the biggest podcasts on Spotify, all 4 of them part of the manosphere.
And you don't drink or smoke, right? You never have.
No, I never have. I've had a great brother who taught me a lesson. Don't drink. He had a problem with alcohol.
It was a format that played to Trump's strengths. In these wide-ranging, unfiltered conversations, Trump comes across as open and genuine.
And but, I'm on TikTok now.
Congratulations.
And I've done really well.
In one of his final campaign interviews, he landed the holy grail of podcasts, Manosphere star Joe Rogan.
Young people are rejecting a lot of this woke bullshit. Young people are tired of being yelled at and scolded.
The 3-hour-long interview was viewed some 50 million times. Rogan stopped short of endorsing Trump until the last second. He said he was convinced by Elon Musk.
I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
All the way back in Gamergate, the powerless men of the manosphere learned they could be powerful together. The 2024 presidential election marked the ultimate consolidation of that power. Donald Trump won handily, and his strong showing across the country had a lot to do with winning over young men.
And ladies and gentlemen, look who is now making his way.
There was no more perfect encapsulation of the importance of the manosphere than when newly elected President Trump got a standing ovation walking into a UFC match.
President-elect Donald Trump.
A Kid Rock song blared. Joe Rogan gushed. and Trump walked to his seat, flanked by Elon Musk. After the election, the titans of the tech industry quickly embraced the new regime. Mark Zuckerberg, who Trump had vowed to throw in prison for life a few months before, flew to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. A few weeks later, in January, Zuckerberg announced that Facebook would end its fact-checking program and scale back content moderation.
The fact-checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US.
Even Zuckerberg's look had changed. He was dressed a little bit like the manosphere's Aiden Ross, in an oversized black shirt and gold chain.
What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
President-elect Trump was asked whether he thought Zuckerberg's change of heart had anything to do with his threats to jail him.
He's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past with these actions.
Yeah, probably.
Zuckerberg donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration. And soon, all the other big tech company leaders followed suit. On Inauguration Day, there they all were.
A lineup of billionaire tech titans led by the world's richest man, Elon Musk.
Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Google's Sundar Pichai lined up behind Trump with Musk.
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren writing, "They have even better seats than Trump's own cabinet picks. That says it all."
People once thought that tech and social media would be a democratizing force for good by giving a voice to the voiceless. But as algorithms ate the internet, the balance of power shifted. These tech titans now control the media landscape. For years, we gave them all of our data for free. We let them surveil us in our best moments and worst, help them gather dossiers on everyone's lives that make J. Edgar Hoover look like an amateur. We let them experiment with our emotions online and gave them a massive data set on how we think, what drives us, what propels us to action or to violence. We gave them all of the tools they needed to manipulate us and use our online lives against us. And now, here they were, oligarchs worth $1 trillion in personal wealth, people who already had so much power and had now amassed considerable political might. And they were lined up behind a president who had vowed to be a dictator, supposedly only on day one. It felt like the survival of democracy now depended on this group of billionaires to do the right thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Elon Musk.
At a rally celebrating Trump's inauguration, Elon Musk was absolutely elated.
Yes!
And he had reason to be. He had invested a petty $277 million in the 2024 elections, and he would bring in billions in new government contracts for his companies. He would lead the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and have carte blanche to hack spending and destroy American institutions Trump disagreed with, like USAID, the Department of Education, and funding for public media. DOGE would help dismantle efforts to curb mis- and disinformation. It would gain access to sensitive IRS and Social Security data for millions of Americans. Since Election Day, Musk's net worth has skyrocketed by more than $100 billion. But for a while, he was a bit like Yevgeny Prigozhin, Putin's chef, the Russian oligarch who had deployed his troll farm to sow chaos during the 2016 election. Like Prigozhin, Musk eventually fell out of favor and was cast aside. Such things often happen to oligarchs.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you.
But for a moment, before his short-lived run at gutting the American government, Musk was just really, really happy. So happy, he made an emphatic gesture, one that looked to many like a Nazi salute.
I have been feeling a lot of panic and fear about this talk.
I want to say something meaningful, and I've been overwhelmed by the enormity of what is happening right now. I can't sugarcoat it. It's a bit of a head fuck.
This is the journalist Carol Cadwalader giving a TED Talk in April of 2025. 6 years earlier, Cadwalader had stood on that same stage and given a talk about Facebook's role in Brexit. She and other journalists had found that a major disinformation campaign carried out through Facebook had contributed to many in the UK voting to leave the European Union. She had accused Facebook of breaking democracy. Cadwalader had been sued for libel for what she said and had been embroiled in a drawn-out and expensive legal battle that lasted for years. But even amid all of that, she was back again in 2025. She had seen the tech leaders line up behind Trump, and she was there to raise the alarm one more time.
It has to start with naming it. It's a coup. We are watching the collapse of the international order in real time, and this is just the start. There is an alignment of interests that runs through Silicon Valley to what is now a coming autocracy. It's a type of power that the world has never seen before. This is the old headquarters of the East German secret police. They kept detailed files on almost 1 in 3 of their citizens. That is nothing compared to what Google has on every single one of us. We are already living inside the architecture of totalitarianism. Politics is technology now. It's why your CEOs have been taken captive and are paraded on TV like hostages. We now are in techno-authoritarianism. We have to learn how to digitally disobey. That can be as simple as the drop-down box. Don't accept the cookies. Don't give your real name. Download Signal. Privacy is power. And we have more of it than we think. There is a beautiful internet of the future. We can build it. It is going to take a movement, but we can learn from movements that there have been before us. We are not powerless because we know who we are and we know what we stand for. And my question to Silicon Valley is, do you?
Since Cadwalader gave that talk, we've seen so many things happen. President Trump went right to work repaying those who had brought him to power. Kash Patel, a far-right podcaster, was installed as FBI director.
We're going to come after the people in the media who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you.
His deputy, another podcaster, Dan Bongino. A Fox News host took over the Pentagon.
Pete Hegseth was forced out of leadership roles at 2 veterans organizations for misusing funds, sexually harassing women, being repeated.
Another Fox News host is the transportation secretary. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of the web's biggest anti-vaccine activists, became the nation's top health official.
Firing every single member of a key CDC vaccine advisory committee, replacing them with people who have a history of attacking vaccines and spreading misinformation.
The Trump administration pledged to stamp out DEI and fired women and people of color across the government. As the spring of 2025 unfolded, it felt like we were watching the pieces come together of the techno-authoritarian state Cadwalader warned about.
Extraordinary images out of Los Angeles tonight. Hundreds of National Guard troops now on the ground.
President Trump has wielded the military to shut down democratic protests and effect mass arrests and deportations of immigrants.
Federal law enforcement officials sworn to MacArthur Park, an area not far from...
Social media surveillance is being used to deport and imprison people for their speech.
This is the moment federal agents in masks and hoodies detain Tufts University doctoral student Rumeysa Öztürk, one of at least a half dozen international students targeted in recent weeks after voicing support for Palestinians.
Trump has locked innocent people away in foreign prisons.
A wrongfully deported Maryland man remains locked up in a prison in El Salvador.
He has openly expressed wanting to do the same to U.S. citizens he deems as criminals.
We also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here, too.
And if every tweet, picture, or post we've ever shared can be used as evidence, one day, that could be any of us. It is quite a thing to look back on the history of the internet from this moment, back to the early days of the web, when the world was suddenly at our fingertips.
What about this internet thing? What the hell is that exactly?
It is the big new thing.
There are so many unforeseen consequences to that amazing creation.
Do you think in some ways that it's the creation of a monster? Revolutions are sometimes painful, aren't they?
Yes, I suppose that there will be aspects of any change which are painful.
Some knew what might happen, but the size of the possibility was too huge to walk away from.
The tear in tech stocks continues. Tech-heavy NASDAQ exploded to, yes, another new record high.
Now we're at the dawn of another world-changing technological advance in artificial intelligence. And once again, in the face of massive possibility and the inevitability of profit, we're not thinking about the consequences. That while AI will certainly change aspects of society for the better, it will also undoubtedly contribute to the further erosion of reality, truth, and fact.
In 2 years, human beings will not be able to tell the difference between what is real and what is fake.
Who's building the guardrails here?
No one is building the guardrails.
We can sit here and say that algorithms broke the internet, that filter bubbles tore us apart, that mis and disinformation have polluted our discourse and our minds. But the popularity of falsehoods, lies, and hoaxes on the internet suggests something else. Maybe this is what we as a society want. Algorithms exploit and capitalize on existing fissures in society. They see what we watch, what makes us engage, what gets us riled up. They know us in some ways better than we know ourselves. And that begs a crucial question. Is this really who we are? We don't know where this is all going, but there are still such things as facts and truth, and we have to continue to fight for them, no matter how uncomfortable they are. We can say that the dress is white and gold, but that doesn't change the truth. The dress, no matter how we see it, has always been blue and black. Thank you for listening with us all the way to the end of this series. If you've enjoyed the show, spread the word and tell people about it. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps others find the show. If you want to know all about Elon Musk, read Fez Sadiki's book, Hubris Maximus. Long Shadow is a production of Long Lead in partnership with PRX. The show is produced and co-written by Ryan Swikert. John Patrick Pullen is our story editor and executive producer. Kevin Shepard and Ula Kulpa served as associate producers. Additional editorial help from Ula Kulpa. Emily Barone is Long Lead's managing editor. Audience development by Jensen Rubenstein. Fact-checking by Will DeGravio. Claire Mullen did the mix. Sound design by Claire Mullen and Ryan Swikert. Music by Epidemic Sound, Blue Dot Sessions, Podcast Music, and Marmoset, with thanks to Joe Egan of Egan Media for recording help. Cover art by Long Lead's creative director Sarah Rogers. Learn more about Long Lead and subscribe to our newsletter at longlead.com. Transcripts and more are available at longshadowpodcast.com. Check it out. I'm Garrett Graff, and thanks for listening.